Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Tani. Subscribe.
Okay. Hey, I painted this. Let me tell you the story of how I managed to make this. This is the first time that I've painted on canvas. Cut me some slack, please. I beg you. This episode of my life begins when I randomly woke up and was like, I'm gonna paint. Then I had to find something to paint, preferably a painting. Then my favorite painting of all time came into my mind, namely Starry Night by Van Gogh. I hope I said that right. So our story begins on Tuesday, the 23rd June. I needed some medium through which I could sketch my canvas. My mother used to paint and she advised me that I should print out the painting that I want to paint, make grids and make the same grid on my canvas as well and just mimic each and every square on the canvas. Does that make any sense? I swear I don't even know how to communicate anymore, but we'll get to that later. I didn't really think that was a very practical thing, so I did what any sane person would do. I went on Google and simply searched how to paint for beginners. And that's when the video from John Cena herself blessed my eyes. I watched it very carefully because I needed to learn her tactics as efficiently as possible. The method that she used was way more practical than the one my mother had advised me, so I decided to go with that one. Basically, the thing was that the photo which I had downloaded from the internet of the original painting was 26 centimeters by 32 centimeters, so its ratio was 3:4. But this beautiful canvas that I had was 25 centimeters by 30, meaning its ratio was 5:6. And as everyone knows, 3:4 is not the same as 5:6. I had to change the dimensions of the photo which I had downloaded to 20 centimeters by 24 centimeters to match the ratio of my canvas. After doing more math, I somehow came to the conclusion that my canvas was 1.3 times larger than the photo that I had downloaded. I did this by simply dividing.
How many is that per hour?
How's that gonna help you?
I will divide and then count to it.
Right.
I still think that's not the right way to do it, but oh well, it worked out. Now, why did I find out this information was because, for example, on the photo that I printed, the diameter of the, basically the circle in which the moon is painted in was 4.5 centimeters. But on my canvas, it's approximately 5.85. What I basically had to do to sketch out the basics on my canvas was measure a distance on my printed out paper and then multiply it by 1.3, use that new distance to draw on my canvas. Again, I don't really know if I did it right. I don't even know if Joanna did it the way I did it. Once I did all of my mathematical calculations, I was ready to start my project. I took out my very small canvas and started to sketch out the basics. Of course, I started off by, being very, very precise, but soon I just realized that this was just for reference purposes, so later I just started to do my own thing. The next thing I did was give a base yellow brownish color, because if you look at the original, some of the canvas can be seen through the painting, and it's not white, it's this rather brown grayish color, and I thought it was essential to follow that process to mimic the original as much as I can. Soon I realized I could have just sketched out the canvas after I was done painting the brown color. But oh well, this is my first time, so I'm not really going to criticize myself as harshly as I would otherwise. Then I started with the upper portion of the sky. Thing was that the day I started doing this was, as I said, this last Tuesday. Basically, it was my first day of online school that day, and I was a little exhausted as well because school's exhausting, and if I had a choice, then I would drop out. Okay, no, just kidding. Of course not. Education is something which has been important to me always and is going to be forever, no matter what. And it should be yours as well. No, just kidding. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. But still, I hate school, so nothing can change that. And it sucks regardless. That's why the first day I couldn't really do a lot except just the blue sky. I thought I did a lot of progress. I didn't. The next day I started fresh with the stars. I think it would have looked way better if I would have just painted the stars when the sky was still wet. to give it more of a natural effect. After the stars, I moved on to that little swirly thingy. There are many speculations on what that is. I like to think of it as wind. This was where I thought that painting was starting to get worse. Little do I know it was even going to get more worse. However, on day 3, I was super motivated and I wanted to get a lot of things done. So I started with the bottom half of the sky, and as I learned from my past mistakes, I started to work on the stars right away.
If you haven't noticed, I have lost random things to talk about, and that is why I will be telling you a little bit about the painting that I am painting today. After suffering a psychological crisis, Vincent Van Gogh mutilated his own ear, then proceeded to admit himself in an asylum known as Saint Remy in southern of France. There, amidst the nature and far away from the city dust, he painted many brilliant paintings which are a part of the Saint Remy series. One of the paintings from this collection is Starry Night, which many people think mimicked his view from his cell window. What many people don't know, however, is that this is factually false. His view was not similar to the one in the painting. In fact, it was impossible for him to even have a view of such a similar town from his window, which he painted in the bottom right of the painting. There are many speculations for the light blue swirl in the sky painted by Van Gogh. They can mean physical or emotional turbulence, aiming at his life, or they were simply meant to be clouds or heavy winds, which were common in the region in which his asylum was situated, and in contrast to the bright, brilliant night sky, the town is rather dull and dark. Perhaps the meaning of this painting is that the town to him felt like the asylum in which he was currently in, a tranquil place, perfect to take refuge in, contrasting to the wild sky full of turbulences and unease. The true meaning of the painting still very much an unsolved mystery for the public eye, even after 131 years since its creation. The beautiful creation is kept at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. Okay, rats. Goodbye.
The next day, I started working on the cypress. The cypress, in my opinion, is kind of like the life of the entire painting. If you look at the original, it's way more complicated and not just plain black. I really tried to work on that, but mine ended up turning very dark anyways. Once I was done with the cypress, I started to work on the last and final element of the entire painting, which is the town over here in the bottom. I kid you not, it took so much time for me to make that town. It was crazy. And I was finally done with the entire painting. So what are my thoughts on the piece that I created? Definitely could have made it so much worse, but again, I could have done better. Actually, I think that if I would have went with a larger canvas, it would have even looked better. The reason why I had like a small canvas was again because I didn't really want to be overconfident and then just mess everything up. The biggest issue that really is messing with me is the fact that my painting turned out to be way more darker than the original, but okay, I can deal with that. The stars turned out to be actually like okay. I was super scared about them. The town took me the most time in this entire painting to work on. My mother thinks that I'm bluffing, but in my opinion, you cannot even tell that this is a town. To me, this is just a big blob of colors. The town is basically like a Monet. Like from far away, it looks
Okay, but up close, it's a big old mess.
The cypress, however, is the complete opposite of a Monet. Far away, it looks like nothing, but I promise you, it really took me a long time to paint that.
The original painting was painted with short and thick yet quickly executed brush strokes, which I was unable to recreate, making my painting full of even shorter but fat brush strokes, which in my opinion makes it look less flattering in comparison to the original.
This was how I painted a Starry Night. It took me 5 days in total, and this is what I got. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. I am not forcing you to, but you can if you want to. Also, subscribe to this channel because the subscribe button is very close to the like button as well. And yeah.
Not that I would call myself
Post-impressionist.
per se, but maybe one day.
Okay, rats. Goodbye.